Now, ladies and gentlemen, from the four corners of the world to the four corners of this ring, let's get ready to rumble!
Boxing store.
Best store in Europe. Boxing gloves, boxing shoes, shorts, anything boxing. Just started a Muay Thai line, mixed martial arts, MMA, anything combat-wise.
They've got it all, so shop online or in store.
Champs Boxing Store is your people.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching or listening to this, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Bell, proudly sponsored by Champs Boxing Store and in association with the British and Irish Boxing Authority. Now, tonight we're joined by a professional boxer. He's fighting on Checkmate Promotions December the 9th card, No Surrender in Coventry. It's Mr. J.M.P. Hi, Jay, welcome to the show.
Hiya.
Before we get into your fight on December the 9th, can you just let everyone know a bit about you and how you got into boxing?
Originally, I watched Anthony Joshua fight, and I thought, yeah, I could do that. And I signed up for Ultra White Collar, did the Ultra White Collar, and decided, right, that's it. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make this what I do, like become a professional. Everyone laughed at me. Everyone said it's not possible. And here we are, probably nearly 6 years down the line.
Any amateur fights, Jay?
No amateur.
No amateur. Impressive. Impressive.
Just unlicensed, yeah.
Yeah. Nice, mate. Good. Good. You know, like, do you know what? A lot of obviously we spoke to Gianluca. A lot of them are taking on the unlicensed scene now. Like, I know a couple from the board that are from unlicensed. One of them was Anthony Yard. Before he turned amateur, he was fighting on the Queensbury Boxing League.
Yeah.
Like that looks like it's the way forward. It looks like they're just covering all angles now.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously still quite a stigma towards people that haven't had it, like from old school boxing heads. There's probably still a stigma that if you hadn't done the amateur route, but there's some good boxers on the unlicensed scene, and like if you just look at this weekend, Fabio Wardley, he only did unlicensed boxing, and look at him, like British champion, and you're either tough or you're not. You can either take a punch or you can't. Like, if you,
100%.
It does, as long as you're able to listen and learn. That's just another way to listen and learn. I have to admit that some of the things I've experienced in my first two pro fights, like all the little tricks, the little treading on your foot, like trying to get in your head, all that kind of stuff. You experience that on the unlicensed scene. A lot of amateurs, because amateurs is so respectful and you do it properly, and when they turn over and all of a sudden, like, it's a bit nitty gritty, and they don't really know how to deal with that. Whereas I find that I've dealt with all that. Everything that's happened to me in my first two pro fights, I've had all that before. Like, it's nothing to me. Whereas I think if I'd done amateur, maybe I wouldn't be so schooled in those, the little tricks that the guys have got to get under your skin.
It builds hype up, doesn't it? That's like in the pro game. I think I'm not sure if Gianluca did say it or it was someone else I was speaking to, but everyone loves a personal row. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where you get your ticket sales, and that's where you get your needle to get more fans and come and watch you fight.
Well, that's another thing, that unlicensed people have the edge over some amateur guys, is because they know how to sell tickets. They've already been trying that and doing that, and like, amateur's great. You box, that's it. You don't have to worry about anything else. But when you do unlicensed and you've got to sell a certain amount of tickets, it's all just a different kind of conditioning for the professional game. It's more like the professional game than the amateurs is. when it's done properly.
All it is all the amateurs is getting, like you say, you're boxing, but you're getting a bit more of a cleaner way of boxing. It's just point scoring. It's not in a pro game. You're sitting in front of each other trying to take your head off.
It's so different. Yeah, like when you spar amateurs and you spar unlicensed, like experienced and licensed people, it's two totally different things. Amateurs will pop, move all day long, whereas the unlicensed people are probably a bit more flat-footed, a bit more set, and they're trying to hurt you a bit more.
Yeah.
Like, you get annoyed with the amateurs because they're firing so many shots. And licensed, they're trying to hurt you. Yeah. So, like, I like to spar a mix. Some pros, some unlicensed, some amateur, because they're all different things. They're all so different.
So you got your license with BIBA. What made you pick to go with BIBA to get your pro license?
Initially, I was always told you'll never be able to turn pro because you've had no amateur background and all that. And then I spoke to some other people and they said, no, that's rubbish. You can turn pro. You just need to do a gym assessment. You need to do this. You need to do that. My initial instinct was to go BIBA, but then I was kind of persuaded not to by people say, like, the people that don't have such a great thing to say about BIBA, the people that are like old school and they want it done their way. So I applied with the British board and I signed with a British board management company, and I was going down the British board route, but all along, every hurdle I had to jump over to try and get licensed. I just felt like an unimportant number in a massive, big group of people that didn't really want me there. So I pulled my application out. I'll jump through all your hoops, but you're still not going to give me any respect. So I'm going to go and earn my respect, because you're obviously not giving me any respect. I had all the meetings and the British board come out to the gym and that, and in the end, I just thought some of the way they operate, some of the way they talk, and the way they deal with you, I just thought, I don't really like this. I'm going to try a different option. I'm going to try BIBA, and BIBA was much more welcoming, much more facilitating. Everything was done much quicker. Things were explained much clearer. Like with the British board, you can't. It feels like you have to ask a million people the same question to understand it. Like no one will give you a straight answer. It's like no one. I'm not saying everyone's the same, obviously, but it felt like everyone had a different bit of answer and answered in a different way or had a different idea. And I'm really quite black and white, and I want to know what the crack is. Not it could be that, or it could be that, or it could be this. I found with BIBA it was much more transparent with what I needed to do to become a professional boxer, what I had to prove, what applications I needed, what I needed to do, rather than the whole process of the British board was kind of like you never knew what to expect and no one really helped you like understand the process. And like, if you've been in boxing for 40 years, you probably know the process well and you don't have to ask the questions. But I'd never put on a pair of boxing gloves until 6 years ago, so I had questions and I didn't feel like they were getting answered. Something just didn't feel right, so that's why I thought I'll go with BIBA. And I've had people say, "Well, BIBA's not even professional boxing." Well, it is professional boxing. Just because the British board say whatever they say, well, I still pay a license. I still get opportunities. Like when people have said you're better to go with the British Broad, to some degree, yeah, but I'm not a 19-year-old. I'm 32. I'm not going to be a world champion in one of the top 4 belts. Like, I'm not even going to come close. Let's be realistic. I'm realistic with my goals, and what I want to do is build up a good record. What I want to do is say, I came from this, I came through all this struggle, I've got these mental health conditions, and I did this. I want to use that to inspire people. I want to show people it can be done. And I also want to box abroad. I can do that with BIBA. And because of the way it works out, and certain fees and different fees, I can also get paid more fighting on BIBA than I can or I could with the British Board. So for me, the major factors are it fulfills what I want to achieve. I want to say I turn pro. I want to build up a record. I want to box abroad. And I can do all 3 of those things while earning more with BIBA than what I could earn under the British Board, because of how the fees and payments are structured.
Obviously, I've done a bit of work with the board, and I found with them, it's not for your safety. They're just trying to catch you out to see if your face fits or not. Obviously, I wasn't fighting for the board. I was getting my pro seconds, and it wasn't for people's safety. It was all about trying to catch you out if your face fits. And it turned me off. Yeah, I done it, but I only done it for 1 fight, and I ain't done it since. So I feel your pain there, Jay. To be fair, I feel what you're saying.
When I went for the British Board interview thing you do, and there's probably about 10 of us, 10 boxers looking to turn over. In fact, Yafai, the Olympic gold medalist, he was in my group. Okay. So all these guys, there was England boxing champions, you know, they all had an extensive amateur background. Okay. When the board were asking the questions, 9 times out of 10, I was the only one that had an answer. I was the only one that knew. Like, some of those people sat with me when they were said, how long have you signed with your manager? They couldn't answer the question. Like, they couldn't even answer how long you could sign for. And I said, well, you could sign for 3 years. I signed for 1 year because I don't want to sign for 3 years and get stuck in a contract that's not serving me. And it turned out that's a good idea, because I would have been stuck. Like, they were asking questions about safety and rules and this, and it's like the other guys didn't really know. It's like I was answering everything, and just because I didn't have an amateur background doesn't make me any less knowledgeable, any less important.
I totally get it, but like I said, it was if your face fit. It's not as if you've answered the question. They've gone, oh, bloody hell, Jay knows a lot. And then you're sort of like, all right, here we go with it. But they give you more hoops to go through, more obstacles to go through for you to go, well, all right, I've had enough of this. Do you know what I mean? What else do you want me to do?
See that? Yeah, that's the other. Yeah, it's especially because I'm older, and how long does this process take? You know, it takes a long time with the British Board, and my time's ticking away. And then COVID happened, and I thought, this is never going to happen for me. And to go with what feels right for you, and what felt right with me was Gianluca really seemed to respect me as a person, not just trying to pick.
As a pro boxer, obviously you have to be your brand. How do you go about building a brand for yourself?
You have to get in people's faces. First of all, you have to be real. You got to show people that you're not above them. You have to be consistent with who you are as a person. You know, That's who I am. Like it or lump it, and that's how it's going to be. And you have to be in people's faces and remind them, I'm here, I'm doing this. Like I said I'm going to be a professional boxer. So, you know, people are like, yeah, right. And they kind of watch to see you fail. And then when you don't fail and you keep meeting these targets, people start saying, okay, respect. And you start to earn people's respect. And when it starts to snowball, then it really snowballs. And with the help of the team at Checkmate, they've really helped push my brand. I have some background in management and brand management. So I knew from early on I had to build something for people to buy into, or professional boxing doesn't work, because you've got to have the numbers, you've got to put the people on the seats. So for the past 5-6 years, from day one, is what I've been doing is building this journey that people have been able to come on with me. Like it's not just them seeing the fight night, it's not just them seeing the end result. Like a lot of these people have come through and seen what I've done and appreciated what I've done. Now they want to get involved with what I'm doing and they want to support. The key is getting people to want to support you. And some of the support I have is really mind blowing. Like I get messages from all over the world. I've made, like, I would say they're quite close people to me from other sides of the world, people I've never met. Branding and building your brand is it's crucial in this sport especially. But it was also important for me to make sure I got out there to a wider audience in terms of mental health, because I need to, like, even before boxing, my need to get out there and support other people that suffer similar things to me is one of the major driving forces of why I wake up in the morning.
Are you okay to go into what you suffer with at the moment?
So I have a diagnosis of borderline personality disorder, which is it can get quite bad press, but actually people with that are usually some of the best people you know. If they love you, they will fucking love you. The very, very black and white thinking, like I said a little while back, I don't really have a grey area. Like, it's all or it's nothing, which is kind of, I guess, what a lot of people with borderline personality disorder, like, you'll find a lot of them are like CEOs of companies and high up, like, bankers and high roles, because they do. That's it. They do it. They either do it or they don't. So they do it. A lot of, like, high up athletes, it's the same thing. They've set out what they're going to do and they do not stop at anything until they get to that, even at the detriment of other things sometimes, you know, relationships, family. That's what they want. That's what they're going to get. Also, paranoid personality disorder. I don't really acknowledge that one too much, because it's not so bad anymore. But, you know, there are times when I get quite paranoid of people and groups of people, especially, I struggle to be around. And I've never said this one to anyone before. I'm not really acknowledging it yet myself. I'm currently under assessment for autism, which I don't know how I feel about at the minute. It's a whole new thing. And initially, when they said, we think you've got this, actually, I was like, I don't know. I know who I am. I know what I've got. I don't want I don't want to, like, almost like I've spent like 6 years telling people who I am, telling people how I deal with things. And because of this diagnosis is the way I act like this and this and this, and trying to get people to understand me better. And it kind of felt like now it's like, oh yeah, also I've got autism, so now you've got to learn all this other new stuff. Like I'm still struggling to get my head around it a bit. But like, this is the first time, other than Kelly, that I think anyone knows that that is a process that is ongoing. And the more it goes on, the more I think, fucking hell, I'm so autistic.
The thing is though, Jay. So basically, I've got borderline autism. I'm also dyspraxic.
So am I.
So with that, it don't matter what label you have. You're your person.
I had the diagnosis of borderline personality disorder for 11, 12 years. But like before the diagnosis, it was like I didn't know where I fitted in. I didn't know what box, what one of society's boxes I fit in. Like I don't really, I never felt like I fitted anywhere, but it's because I don't fit in a box. I'm just me. I'm in this box sometimes a little bit, and also in this box. Like you can't put me in a box. You can't put a label on me because I'm not a jar.
Amazing that you're just putting yourself out there for people to see you, and you're challenging all that into a profession that you're good at, and then that you're showing the world, this is my skill, this is me. So I commend you for that. I think it's really good.
Even before boxing, I would talk to people from all over the world, and they would always respond in a positive way that I've helped them. And the fact that I am open about what I'm going through and suffering on a day-to-day basis helps them realize that they're not alone. And, you know, I have had negative comments and things like, you just write that because you're attention seeking or whatever. It's never been that. I write it because other people relate. And even when people don't comment or message me, like, I know people are reading it and finding solace in what I'm saying I'm going through. And like I said, I've had so many people message me. And since boxing, it's really just elevated the platform that I've got to be able to speak out for mental health. And I really find that probably my biggest calling. Like I struggle in situations, I struggle socially, but I can help other people. And it's like medication in that moment, because I'm no longer focused on me and I'm helping someone else.
How do you find, obviously struggling like sometimes with that, and especially in boxing, can be quite, the pressure can be quite unreal, and the fucking ticket sales. Does that trigger you off sometimes with like the anger of like people letting you down, for instance? I used to get it all the time. Does it like trigger you off and you just want to, do you know what I mean? Like, or does it take it to the next level of that anger?
Like past versions of me, if someone has let me down, I would just forget they exist. Like it just switch just happens in my head. And this could have been something as stupid as they didn't turn up on time. But in my head, if you said you were coming at that time and you're half an hour late, it was really a big issue for me. So I would rather scrap people off than have to deal with the feeling of being let down. It's not a healthy look at life. I had a friend from school, my best friend. We were friends all through school, and he said he was going to go back to uni in a foreign country, and I never spoke to him again because I couldn't deal with him going to another country and not being the friend I knew, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And looking back, it saddens me that I couldn't deal with that and those kind of situations. And I've lost people because I was unable to take a step back and try and look at the whole picture. Like, I don't know if he ever went abroad. to study. But in that moment, I needed to take control of, right, if you're fucking off, I'll just end this friendship here. Then I haven't got to deal with the negative feeling that I'd get. And it's such a bad way to look at things. And as I've learned more about myself and taking it forward, it's helped, especially being let down for tickets, because before, when I would just move people to a side because they'd let me down, like I've heard with the tickets, I've heard every excuse. I know people are going to let me down. I know people are going to read my messages and not reply. It gets to me. It's annoying. It's upsetting, because the people that I'm asking to buy tickets, I'm asking because I respect them and I want them to be part of the journey. And I think sometimes I have to remind myself that just because you want someone to be there, you want someone to be part of this journey, doesn't mean they want to or have to. And like, if someone said to me, I don't want to support you, or I don't want to watch you box, I don't want to come and watch you, I wouldn't ask them again about a ticket. But if you say to me, I can't this time, but I will next time, best believe I'm messaging you. And if you say, oh, I get paid on this date, like, best believe probably autism brain has got that date stored, and on that date I'm messaging you, reminding you. Then you get the people that just ignore your messages. Like, don't ignore me, because I'll just keep writing, like, every week or whatever. Oh, have you sorted your ticket? Like, do you want your ticket today? You said you want a ticket, so you need to tell me, like, this is black and white thinking. You need to tell me you don't want it anymore, because otherwise I'll just keep messaging. And I do all right for tickets. It's sometimes I write things like on Facebook or whatever to try and make people understand the stress of it and what it means, because it's like, not only you're not just supporting me on the night, you're ensuring I can box, because it's expensive. Like, when you whittle it down and you work out your expenses and all that kind of stuff, you know, you're not boxing for an awful lot, even if you sell 100 tickets. Like, I'm asking you because I want you, if you know what I mean. So it is upsetting when people don't reply or don't say anything, or, you know, you get the 2 blue ticks but you don't get any response. Like, that stuff does hurt. I try not to let it affect me too negatively, and I'm learning to get better at that.
Probably the ticket sales are actually harder than the fight itself.
Yeah, being a professional boxer, you're a salesman. That's what you are. You're a salesman that risks their life. I put up a post a while back, like, are there any other sales jobs where you know, risk your health, you push yourself to these limits? Because this is like, if you wouldn't apply for this sales position, like, come and sell these cars, but we're also going to punch you in the face, and you're going to get punched in the face every week up until your contract expires, and you're going to have to go for this run, you're going to have to do this, you're going to have to do that. Like, it's a fucking shit job.
No, I get what you're saying, because I think, because, as I say, I'm a casual boxing fan. I took part in an ultra white collar event 4 years ago. Didn't fancy getting hit in the head again. But when you see events and you watch, like, your match rooms and your Queensberry, you just assume you buy a ticket, everyone gets paid, and everything's taken care for the boxers. I don't think people realise, as you're making clear, that your ticket sales are your bread and butter. You've got to pay for your cabs, you've got to pay for your kit, you've got to pay for your licence, you've got to pay. But I don't think the casual fan sees it. I think they just see a show and just assume that everyone's getting paid and everyone's getting taken care of. So I think people just need to realise how important ticket sales are for you guys to do the job that you're doing.
I mean, if you look at, like, let's say Matchroom, for instance, if they went and put on a show in Scotland, on the undercard, there would be Scottish fighters that would have to sell tickets to fill the arena. They ain't going to take some fighters from Portsmouth up to Scotland because they're not going to sell any tickets. The business model is sales, ticket sales. Now, you'll see all the professional boxers up to like Fury and AJ probably don't have to put on their social medias, I've got these tickets, do you want them? All the other people do. You see, like Terry Harper, she's got a Facebook account just for her ticket sales. You see the Ron for Bull, Johnny Fisher, is doing thousands of tickets. Now, he's not bad, but if he weren't selling them tickets, he wouldn't be on them shows. All boxers at some point have to sell tickets, and you can say, well, AJ don't sell tickets. No, he doesn't, but his commercial value, if he wasn't selling a certain amount of pay-per-views, then his contract with these people is not going to be as high. So even he, to a degree, is selling tickets, he's selling something. He's got to keep up appearances to sell something, otherwise people wouldn't pay him. And when you get right down to the bottom, it's pennies. Like if I worked out what it cost me to train, it probably works out about 100, 150 pound a week. I've got two very good sponsors. Imagine Building Services are unbelievable in their financial input, but at the end of the day, what that covers is my licensing, my medical, and all that stuff. Like that's what that covers. Like that's not a regular income. It ensures that I have the medical, I have the license fees all paid for. That's essentially what they pay for. So without them, this wouldn't be possible. Then I have White Fox Photography, who pay a certain amount each month. Now, if I was to split all the sponsorships down, they equate to about £250 a month. So let's say it's £100 a week to train. I'm a week and a half short already. And that's not taking into fact that the Imagine sponsorship is accounted for. Like that's not a monthly payment. So like you don't make money boxing. Like what I hope in the long term it does is increase my business, that's the gym. Like it makes the gym more appealable to the mainstream. But you know, I'm not sitting here making a lot of money. What I need to do is sell tickets. So at the end of the fight camp, I can I'm almost repaying myself what the excess is that I've had to input into the camp.
Yeah.
And if I don't sell it, what people don't realize is if you don't sell enough tickets, you can't pay the house fee, you can't pay the opponent fee, and that's all then coming out of your pocket. And to a certain degree, you have to back yourself and accept, okay, I ain't done very good this time. I'm going to take this one on the head. I'll make up the difference myself, or accept I'm not fighting for much, because I believe I can continue to grow. I can continue to get better. I can continue to increase the publicity. I can continue to increase the amount of tickets I can sell. And then hopefully in the long run, I will come to the end of the camp and I've got some money in my pocket. It's very glamorous, but it's not in reality.
People don't see that, Jay, do they? Well, obviously, I didn't get to a pro level, but the level I did get to, everyone liked a bit of the pie. Everyone wanted a bit because they just see the glitz and glam. Do you know what I mean? Like, but when it comes down, they don't actually see what you have to go through. to
Yeah, this is the thing. A lot of people walk through the gym door and talk the talk, but when they realise what you have to do to walk it, they quickly walk back out the gym.
Yeah.
As quickly the excuses start coming in. Like, this is not a part-time hobby. Like, doesn't matter what, especially in our gym, it doesn't matter what level you're boxing at. You either give it 100% or you will not fight for us. Because it's in a joke. Like, this is not a game you play. This is dangerous. And you either commit to it or you don't. That's how we look at it. And we train, like, our unlicensed people very hard, because that's what I did. That's what I had to do, because this is not a joke. This boxing is not a joke. You do it. It's very rewarding, but you've got to sacrifice for it.
I say two things probably every podcast we do. Boxing's not a sport. It's a business. And you don't play boxing. It's simple as that. And you've just hit the nail on the head there, Jay. People need to realise it's not a lifestyle. We eat, sleep, dream it. I don't fight, nor do I teach no more. But I still I don't stop watching it. I don't stop. I was out today with pros. Do you know what I mean? Just having a catch up, and I still live that lifestyle because I don't know any different. Like, just people don't need to realise, and more people like yourself that opens up to the others like you are today, that they need to open their eyes. And even if they're thinking about boxing again or boxing, they need to know what it actually details, what it actually says. Like this, Lee's going to hurt me for this, but this misfit boxing, yeah, I totally disagree with it, because there's people like you that put your heart, your health, your soul, your blood into all this, while they're just sitting behind a bloody computer screen and getting paid untold money.
I think everyone should be given the opportunity if they'd like to, but they've got to do it properly. Like, I know Jake Paul and KSI get a lot of stick, but they do it properly. Like, Jake Paul, you can't see him as just a YouTube boxer, because he trains how he should train. Like, he's doing it the proper way. He brings a lot of eyes to the sport. He has a lot of fans, but he is putting the work in, and that is what is important. Not these people that come along and think, yeah, I'll do it for the viewing figures, but don't dedicate to it. If you don't dedicate to it, you should not be in it.
9th of December.
Yes.
So, what do you know about this guy? What are you feeling?
So, usually, my rule is, don't tell me anything. I don't know their name. I don't know what they look like. I don't know what their record is. I don't know anything. I just go in, do what I'm told to do. This time, slightly different. I do know who it is. I've watched him box, and respectfully, I'm going to finish him in devastating fashion. I'm not. I'm sure he's going to test me. He's going to push me like the first two did. But the first fight, the weekend before the fight, I was in bed, couldn't move. Like, COVID ripped me off. I was ruined. I was probably a hair away from saying, I've got to pull out because I ain't going to be able to perform. But, you know, I've waited years for the opportunity. I thought I'll roll the dice. I'll get in there, see how it is. Obviously got the win. Performance wasn't top. I come back to the corner at the end of the third round, and the only words I had for Kelly were COVID. I'm glad I took the risk, but it was probably foolish because I did feel it in there and it did affect my performance, but I had enough to get the job done. The second fight, started camp, first pad session, I felt something go in my back. The next day I couldn't walk. I spent the next 2 weeks barely able to move. I couldn't run for 4 weeks. I had an MRI. I've had the results back for the MRI the other day. I had a tear in, I can't remember what it's called, but you have I think you have your spinal disc, and inside there's whatever's inside, and it had torn. So I mean, it's ridiculous. I couldn't do anything other than lay down. I couldn't sit down because the pain was just unbearable. Like when I did manage to get out of the house, like for example, went to Costa for coffee, I had to lay down. I was laying down in the Costa shop. Like I must have looked like a right fucking idiot because I was crippled, honestly crippled. Couldn't run. It got to 4.5, 5 weeks into an 9-10 week camp, and Kelly said, if you do not improve your performance next week, you're out of the fight. I saw a back specialist. He gave me some exercises. He gave me some things to do. I got some pain medication. I bit down on my gum shield, trained as hard as I could, which was probably a Chris Eubank 60%. And that's probably what I was on the night, 60%. This camp has been brilliant. I am smashing everything and dropping people to their knees left, right, and centre. Touch wood, nothing happens in the next week. I am going to be close to 100% on the night, and I can't fucking wait to perform close to my full potential, because the first 2 fights I have not been able to do that. But I'm a fighter, so I find a way. But this time, I am ready.
And is it going to be a knockout?
Like I said, I want to finish him in devastating fashion. It might not happen, but the way I feel and the way people have been on the end of punishment in this camp, I don't want to get in my own head here, but I feel very good, and I'm going out there to put on a good performance.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see you in action. Can't wait. Listen, it looks like the past 2 fights you've had a really tough time. Now you're feeling close to 100%, like you said. Let's go. Let's get it. So to top it off, so imagine you're stranded on a deserted island, and you're only allowed to take 3 people with you. Who would they be? Boxers.
Right, but first of all, only one person I know of noticed Savannah Marshall up on the mountain peeking over. Did you notice her?
No, I didn't actually. No.
Only one person has said anything about who's that over there. So poor Savannah over at the top of the mountain, who wants to be part of the party on the island. I'm bringing her in just because I feel bad for her, so she can come down onto my bit of the beach.
Right.
Yeah, she's very down to earth, lovely girl, and I'm gonna bring her in from the cold while Kelly's over there with Katie Taylor and Stevie. I'll have Savannah, and she can be my workose. You know, I should have thought about this question, shouldn't I?
Sorry, mate. They can be dead or alive. It don't matter. They don't have to be alive.
Would they be dead on the beach, or would they be alive then?
No, they'd be alive then, mate.
Right. Because I ain't taking no dead bodies. I like AJ a lot. I think that stems from the fact that I watched him and thought, yeah, I could do that. So I'll probably take AJ, but I also like Dylan White a lot. And I don't feel like them two on an island's going to be a good Good
No.
idea.
To be
No.
entertaining, right?
It would be entertaining, yeah. My third one, I'd probably go with maybe Muhammad Ali would be interesting. He'd have some stories, I think.
Yeah.
So that's who I'm going with. I'm taking Savannah because she got done out of a holiday.
Yeah.
I'm taking AJ because he inspired me to start, and I'll take Muhammad Ali for some stories.
Thank you for your time. If people want to come on the journey with you, how do they get in contact with you to support you?
So they can follow me on all social media platforms, Psychotic J.M.P. And yeah, it would be great if you could follow me, buy a ticket, and scream the shit out of it on the 9th of December.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Jay. Wish you all the best for the 9th of December. We will surely be there screaming you on. Yeah, so thank you very much.
Very much, guys. It was a pleasure to be on.
So, but there we go. That was a great interview with J.M.P. We wish him all the luck on the 9th of December at the No Surrender event that we're going to be at in Coventry. Remember, if you want your tickets as well, get onto Checkmate Promotions Instagram page. They will tell you how to get your tickets and stuff like that. Next week, we'll go over Dillian Whyte's weekend, and it's quite a busy weekend this weekend for boxing, isn't it? So we might have a bit to talk about next week.
So we got Parker versus Ryder. Dennis McCann's on that show too. And we got Dillian Whyte versus Franklin. Also, can I just say, it's coming home. I can feel it. All right, coming home.
It sure should be. But thank you so much, Matt, and have a good week. Remember, guys, hit the subscribe button. It really helps so much with our channel. And if you've got any questions or anything like that, please hit us up on our socials. Matt, have a good week, and I will see you soon.
Hello, mates. Have a good one.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, from the four corners of the world to the four corners of this ring, let's get ready to rumble!
Boxing store.
Best store in Europe. Boxing gloves, boxing shoes, shorts, anything boxing. Just started a Muay Thai line, mixed martial arts, MMA, anything combat-wise.
They've got it all, so shop online or in store.
Champs Boxing Store is your people.